Insane news in the latest saga of will Gen Z ever own a home? The number of home sellers now outnumbers home buyers by 630,000 people, the largest gap in American history. And all of this is happening at the same time the average age of a first-time home buyer is creeping and creeping closer to 40 years old, which is an all-time high. In other words, good luck, kids, if you're trying to buy a house before you're mid-age. And while your kids are still young, to build the American dream, to have a piece of land that you stake your family claim in and have something to own and build upon. We are starting to live through the days of you will own nothing and be happy about it. And certainly this is something my own family is navigating as we figure out if we even can buy our first house as a family. But people are pointing out something really interesting in the process, and I'm dying to get your take on it. Last month, the Wall Street Journal ran a fascinating piece called First the Ring, Then the Roof, making the claim that the biggest possible indicator of your potential ability to buy a home is not your race, your gender, your economic status, your education level, but instead whether or not you are married, which again doesn't solve for everything. I'm married with a baby and we're still figuring out how to buy our first home. But this blew my mind. Even though the average age of a first-time home buyer is pushing 40, if you look at married adults aged 25 to 54, 71% of them own their own home, and only 21% of their unmarried peers in the same age group do. And while in 1975, 91% of young women and 81% of young men were married by age 30, by last year, 2025, less than 26% of women and only 16% of men are married by 30. So maybe it's kind of a convergence of circumstances. Basically, no one's getting married, so we're not building wealth and don't have the same economic opportunities as married people historically have, so we can't buy homes. Just as one small sliver of the pie, what I'm dying to know is this: why do you feel like you can't buy your own house? And what do we need to relay to the people in Washington to make it possible for our generation, married or unmarried, to do so?
So I grossly overestimated how bad the housing market is right now. So just a quick rundown of what we've got going on right now. So we don't really need a new house. We have a house. We bought a house back during COVID. We've got a really nice interest rate below 4%. So we're like doing real good with what we've got. However, we have a growing family. We're running out of space. So our home value is way up because we bought, like I said, back during COVID, got a good amount of equity in it. We think we're going to clear a pretty good amount of money on it if we were to put it on the market. I also just got a raise, and my wife still makes more money than me. But besides the point, I just got a raise. I also make pretty good money doing my side hustles. So we figured, hey, it's time to start looking for a new, bigger house to accommodate for the space that we need. We go through the pre-approval process with our bank and with a mortgage lender. Bank interest rate comes back at like over 7%, which is insane because we both have really good credit scores. And then the mortgage rate from the lender comes back and it's a lot better. But then we start going through numbers. And we thought, based off of what down payment we wanted to put on for the number that we got approved of for the loan, we were going to be at this number. And when he shot the numbers back to us, it ended up being like $400 more than what we were expecting. And that was like including taxes, insurance, PMI, stuff like that. So we like hardcore overestimated how much we thought we could afford. And the problem is, based off of what we want out of a new home, there is quite literally nothing, we know now, nothing in our budget that is going to get what we need for what we can afford. And truthfully, like, it makes me feel a little bit bad, not for us. It is unfortunate for us, but I feel bad for people who are trying to buy their first homes right now. We got really lucky back during COVID. I can't imagine how difficult it is for people trying to buy their first homes now. So when people say that the housing market is really bad right now, it's tough.
On today's episode of What the Hell Happened to the Housing Market, here's a house from Monroe, Connecticut for $600.
Recently, the National Association of Realtors released their report on the percentage of people in different generations buying and selling their homes. And I want to get ahead of the very obvious misinformation that the Republicans, both congressional and common people, are going to blast across the internet as a way to misrepresent Gen Z and the current economy. Headlines are intentionally misrepresenting Gen Z home buyers because they're saying, oh, they're purchasing homes on their own. 53% of Gen Z home buyers are purchasing it without any help. And then you actually look at the data, and the percentage of Gen Zers who are purchasing homes in the entire pool is 4%. So 53% of 4% is actually 2%, meaning the top 1 to 2% of Gen Zers who are content creators and millionaires are the ones actually purchasing homes. It's a common spin tactic. They're going to take that 53% and say, look, 53% of Gen Zers who purchase homes are doing it on their own. They have the money, so why aren't you? You should also get in and fix that housing market. And then you realize you have to focus specifically on the words Gen Z home buyers, not 53% of Gen Zers, 53% of Gen Zers who are already planning on purchasing a home, which is the top 2% who are already making a lot of money. So it's already on record in their report that we are at the lowest percentage of first-time home buyers, which is 21% this year. It was 24% last year. This is an attempt to try to convince people to get into the housing market so that they can try and fix it in a positive direction, even though societally we are plummeting and no one can afford anything.
Zillow, how can I help you?
Yes, how you doing? I'm looking into purchasing a 3-bedroom house.
Alrighty, what's your budget?
300,000.
You would have grown with that too.
Am I the only one that hates the way they build houses now? They build these houses like nobody likes to be at home. I don't know what it is, but with these new houses, it feels like the builders got lazy. My number one grievance has always been, stop building the closet into the bathroom. What the hell is the matter with y'all? I don't want my toilet and my clothes that close together. Who started that shit? And then the living rooms are shrinking. I remember back in the day, you could damn near fit like 3 couches in somebody's living room and still have space to run around. Nowadays, at best, you can have a flat screen, a decent sized sectional, and maybe an ottoman. Maybe a small coffee table. Maybe. Back in the day, man, them houses built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you had space. You had plenty of living space. You had the living room. You had the den. You even had a foyer if you bougie. Then these yards are nowhere big enough. Granted, I don't feel like cutting all that grass, but at the same time, give me some space to put a grill out there, entertain some people, and possibly have a garden or something. And also, I don't want to be that close to my neighbors. I don't feel like hearing their conversations when they get a little loud. I know exactly when they arrive home. I don't like that. And these garages, these 2-car garages are not 2-car garages. All right, you might be able to fit 2 Hondas, 2 Toyotas in there. You can't put a SUV up in there. And do not try to put like a F-150 in there. You assed out. I see I'm gonna have to build this house from the ground up because they just throwing together some stuff.
Imagine building your dream home only to have it start crumbling just 6 months later.
It is a gut-wrenching reality for one Lee Summit couple who has been battling the builders for nearly 2 years.
On days like this, it's really hard to understand why my husband and I are going through this.
Only on 41 Action News, Lexi Suter shows us why this family's home is falling through the cracks.
It's the kind of home many families dream about. An open floor plan, custom cabinets, large windows with a view, granite countertops, a stone fireplace, and downstairs bar for entertaining. But look closer, and you'll see problems.
We moved in August 2014, and we saw the first crack in January 2015.
A brand new home already falling apart.
You can see how I can catch my toe on that.
This crack is the first of dozens, the beginning of what continues to consume Pam and Tom Hatcher.
One night, I just had this gut feeling, and I took a razor blade to all the brand new carpet downstairs, and the entire basement slab is just cracked everywhere. Looks like a spider web.
Watch as I roll these balls. Notice how they move. I throw them straight, but they curve off there, showing that the foundation is not only unstable, but it's not level.
When the house starts moving and shifting, the boards are popping, and it sounds like a shotgun.
The floors are soft. The windows separated from the walls.
This one's, getting worse and worse by the day. I can get my fingers in there now.
The spiral staircase coming undone.
And the separation there as well.
The Hatchers contacted their builder, Max Weiss, who is responsible for dozens of homes in this Lee's Summit subdivision. In a report obtained by 41 Action News, Weiss and the engineering firm Apex blamed the cracking on a change in the soil density and poor drainage. The one-year warranty signed by the Hatchers requires Weiss to fix any problems or buy the home back. He's done neither.
What did I not do to fulfill my part of the contract? And for this to be occurring now is just unfathomable.
To try to get more answers, the Hatchers hired a geotechnical engineer for a second opinion. His report found several problems with the concrete holding the home. Some of the piers were not poured centered or drilled deep enough into the earth. He adds that Apex's claim about the soil change is invalid, and for drainage to be an issue would mean the water would have to run uphill. As he says, a practical impossibility. After calling and looking for Max Weiss, we finally tracked him down to get his side of the story.
Max, we just want to ask you a couple questions.
He refused to roll down the window and sped away.
We just want to ask you a couple questions.
His attorney also declined our request to talk, instead giving us a statement that reads in part, Max Weiss enjoys an excellent reputation as a quality home builder and is proud of the hundreds of homes he has built. The lawsuit filed by the Hatchers is the first of its kind in his career. That lawsuit was filed almost 2 years ago.
In the meantime, we're still paying the mortgage on this house. We're still paying the gas bill, the water bill, the electric bill, the HOA fees.
Out more than $1 million, this family is begging for a resolution and to one day rebuild their dream home.
It's supposed to be our retirement home. Yeah, and we can't live here now.
According to a report by Apex engineers, it suggested you would have to cut off the top half of this house, tear out the bottom, dig down 24 inches, and then re-pour the foundation, though all of that would cost more than this home is now worth.
The housing market is not the same no more. Let's start with that. And the same homes that millions used to consider their dream home is becoming a nightmare. People can't afford it. They really can't afford anything, let alone a new house. The cost of living is just going up. Inflation is constantly rising. Their money is not being valued no more. And it's becoming very difficult to even buy a house with just $300,000. That's how you know we living in wild times. Everything is just increasing at a rapid pace. It's not like it's increasing at a slow pace. It's increasing rapidly. And then a sad thing on top of that, a lot of people don't have money laying around. Majority of Americans that's working, half of them in debt. So it's like, it's becoming very difficult to afford a house, to find a house with good quality. New construction homes is just falling apart. And I would be very upset if I spent my money on a new construction home and it's falling apart. That's why the industry is about to be cooked. It's about to collapse. They're not valuing their work no more. They're not taking it serious. You shouldn't have to go through none of this. And then it's like, majority of the time, you got to take out a loan from the bank just to get your house. And now your bills are crazy. Very high. And you really can't afford it. And now you consider living above your means. But with everything going up in this economy, how are you considered living above your means? Everything is going up. And then the same job that you've been working at, They cut overtime. So now you upset. And a lot of people are frustrated. They don't know what to do. They feel like they have nowhere to run, nowhere to turn. Their backs are against the walls. And they just trying to figure it out. And that's why the market is collapsing. They'll laugh at you just because you ain't got enough money to afford a house. Even though the houses are overpriced. And the houses from the past were way better than the present houses. That's why it just don't make sense. And then you gotta fill that house up with groceries. And groceries are expensive. So let me know how y'all feel about the housing market. Do y'all feel like it can make a turnaround? Or it's just gonna keep continuing to go downhill? Because a lot of people, they can't afford to buy a house right now. Times are tough. House sales definitely decreased. They can't afford it to begin with. And they're not thinking about the consumer right now. When did the consumer become less important? So let me know how y'all feel about this. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Peace.